now the seventh unit. So far, we have been built here within the classroom to be fit into the society, to the family first, and to the neighborhood, next to the entire family, to the country, right? And now to the nation. How you should be if you are sent into the nation, right? There we have diversity, many colors we are having, many states we are having, many languages we are having, many provinces we are having, many kinds of food material we are having, right? And many customs and many traditions. The stage may be same thing. Why I call stage is the event or the ceremony may be same. Ceremony, marriage ceremony is that. Let us think about this. It is a common for every what we call as a human being. But the method they solemnize it, they celebrate it, it is different. That is the variety we find out. Diversity, the variety we find out. It is our luck, fortune, I can say, that we are the member of such a nation where we have this diversity, this variance we have. For every 100 kilometers you travel, either north or south or east or west, you will be finding a variety, a difference of culture, a different of customs, different of dressing, dress code, difference of food material, difference of life, living. All these things we can find out. But why I called ourselves as the fortunate is we all under one roof, India. We are under one roof, India. But we have many languages, many traditions, many customs, many ceremonies. Same ceremony, same, but many methods of sermonizing it we have, different. And so diversity. It is a nation on the whole. Now, here I brought two examples for you. You may be wondering, what are these two things doing here? A fruit here and a vegetable here. What are these things doing here? You may be wondering. Now, let me tell you how these two resemble our nation, India. Orange, it has a yellow or it has a saffron skin binding everything inside. And it shows we are one. And if we peel it out, if we remove the outer coat, what we find? There are many compartments all round in a round shape, but they are attached to each other. They are not separate. They are attached to each other. Many compartments there are, right? And under each and every compartment again, there are very small pips we have. And that give different tastes, right? The hard one, the smooth one, and one is a liquid one, right? The tasty one, the distaste one. Everything put together over there in the orange. And we call it as a fruit with one name, orange. Right? The coat which it has, it shows its character. That is it pious? Yes, we are offering to the God. And we are offering it to the sick people, the elderly people. We are offering. What is it one? We are offering, yes, we are there with you. That is what when we are offering the orange, it implies we are all there with you in your what we call as a happiness, in your unhappiness, everything we are there to share with you. That way we are representing an orange. Outside it is only one, and inside there is a diversity. A nation with diversity, right? And this our nation is so flexible. Flexible means it is accommodative. It accommodates everything. Whosoever, we don't have any kind of foreign thing. That is the greatness of our country. Alexander has come. We have accepted them. Persian people have come. We have accepted them. Mughals have come. we have accepted. British people have come, French people have come, Portuguese people have come. We have accepted these people. We have taken them into our fold. That is the greatness of our nation. That is what the representation of orange, you can see. And now this pumpkin, it has outside skin shows there are many compartments. Outside skin shows many compartments. Full ripened pumpkin, it is a brownish yellow or brownish saffron in color. Piosity again, we have the piosity over there. And if we cut it, inside it is only one wall, round one, only one wall. Protecting, what is it one? The seeds in it, the people in it, the subjects in it. So these two are available in our country. These two shows how unique and how diversity our country is. It is one, unique, and it is diverse. Many varieties of things we have, many varieties of languages, many cultures, many costumes, and many things we have. Right? When I dress myself here like this, you may not be calling me as Rajasthani. Rajasthani, they have a kind of turban, they have a kind of a shirt, a kind of pajama, a kind of a chappal, they have from toe to top or top to toe, they have a different kind of appearance altogether. Right? So, here today in this chapter, unit 7, we are learning about the diversity. Cricket is a play. Right? It is modified from our Indian rural play, rural game. What is that one? This Gillu Danda. Right? There also you can see one man is batting, the other man is bowling. There it is not the ball, but it is the Gillu, and here he is batting, it is not the bat, but a Danda. That transformed in the time advanced, and it has come into the existence of your bat and ball and cricket we are playing. And who are all playing this cricket? And if a team we are seeing, how many cultured people we have in the team? Is it only one class of people, one caste of people? Or only one gender of the people there? No, it is not like that. There are many types of people, maybe gender one only, but in the days come we can expect the mixed doubles like thing, mixed cricket team we may have. The girls and the boys or the men and women, they all may together, they may play cricket alike. But at present what we see in the cricket team is there are many types of people, whether it is a priest of a temple or a Maulvi in a what we call as a masjid or a father in a church, all three together they are playing cricket. Right? And all these people, three people, they live in the same village and they drink the same water from the same village well. You see, they are diverse, they are different, but when it comes to, they come into union, they are united together. That is the wonder in the whole world of our India, of our culture. We take every culture and we adopt it and we say, it is our culture. We speak English, we speak Hindi, we speak Telugu, we speak all the languages, and we say it is our language. And if we take our own Telugu language, knowingly or unknowingly, we are putting many English words, we are putting many Hindi words, and we say it is our language. And when I had come to Hyderabad, I heard something, Jara Englim Iyama. Jara, this is the Urdu word. They have taken from there. Inglam, it is also for Nippu, the fire, they call as Inglam, Urdu. Iyamma, it is a Telugu word, and they have adopted the Urdu also into Telugu. The adaptation, but that means the ability to change. Ability to change in Indianness, it is to 100% extent it is there. And so this national diversity, that is our nationalism in a diverse manner, but when time comes, we stand together, we will show that we are one. We show it, we have many times shown it, irrespective of its religion or irrespective of its caste or creed or whatsoever. When time comes, we stand together and we say that we are the pumpkin. We may be appearing different from outside, but inside we are one. And then only this vegetable comes into existence. And orange, we are appearing from inside, outside, it is one. But inside we may be different, but that difference we will not be putting it out, we show it only one. That way we have represented many times, and that unity brings success. And so we are reading about some great personalities and how they adapted themselves to the circumstances, how they changed themselves, right? The lesson goes like this, that is, this present lesson is titled as My Childhood. This is an extract from our president, that is ex-president APJ Abdul Kalam, from his autobiography, that is Wings of Fire. From it has been taken. The childhood for every man and a woman, it is a very precious one. Why? It is kept untouched. That means unrobbed from him. It is kept in the depths of a very, what we call as under lock and key. It is kept in your mind. It comes sometimes only. And what he kept in his mind when he was a child, our president, ex-president APJ Kalam, Abdul Kalam, he wanted to part with us. He wanted to share with us. Let us read it. I was born into a middle class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. My father, Gianuddin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. Despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiamma. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. You see, one of the sweet memoirs of the childhood. What is it? About father and mother. Here, our ex-president APJ Kalam, his father is Gianuddin. Gianuddin, he has a formal education only. Formal means up to middle class, 8th class, but he was not having much wealth even, but in spite of these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom. You see, innate means by birth which he has acquired, that wisdom he was having, thinking capacity, to be able to judge what is right and wrong, to be able to put together, compare together and know it. That is called innate wisdom. Wisdom is something and our knowledge is something. Knowledge, if we are acquiring, we are not the fully educated people. We should have wisdom. Then we are educated. That is what he put about his father. About mother, she was called as what is that one? Ashiamma. Right? And she is engaged in cooking and serving food. To whom and how many? He says there is no count. There is no head count with them. Every day there used to be many people taking food in his house. And also he said the inmates of the house are lesser than those who come from outside and eat food. There was no counting. Means such generous his father was, and such generous his mother was. See how respectfully he put his parents over there. Right? That is a sweet memoir, sweet thinking, sweet remembrance. I was one of the children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. Both his father and mother are tall and handsome, but he was short. And there was no distinguishable characters with him. And so he said undistinguishable, no clear, nothing. To be able to remember or to be able to said or express that kind of qualities he was not having. Though he born to a pair of tall and handsome parents. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large pakka house made of limestone and brick on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothes. In fact, I would say mine was a very secure childhood, both materially and emotionally. You see how proud he was when he was talking about his childhood. Right? His father, that means my parents, if they provide what are the things necessary, that much alone, and if my father asks, from tomorrow onwards you need not have to go to school because I am not afford to do it, then I will think adversely about my father. But he did not say that. What are the things essential, necessities were fulfilled. He never said no to something necessary, but he was very adamant on the expense which is not necessary. Right? And where does he live? He lived in the Mosque Street of Rameshwaram. The house was built by his ancestors. Ancestors means his fathers, great grandfathers and grandfathers. They built it. When in early part of the 19th century, 1850 to 1900, up to 1950, that is called one century, 19th century. During that period, his house was built. It was a pakka house. What is a pakka house? And a kacha house. Pakka house means a daba having a ceiling of a concrete ceiling. That is called pakka house. If not, it is a tiled house, tiled roof or thatched roof house. Those are called as kacha houses. He was having a pakka house built by his ancestors in the street of Mosque in Rameshwaram. They used to live there. His father was not a spendthrift. Right? Whatever finance allow, and that finance is rightly budgeted and rightly spent. Whatever is necessary, that has to be taken care. Clothing, education, food, and your medicines. That way it is spent. And so he put my austere father, my simple father. His father was very simple. He did not spend it lavishly or with a luxury. He never spent it. And so he called his austere, very simple father. And so he never felt any kind of a lacuna anywhere, never fall short of anything, both materially or emotionally. There is no short of these things for him. Right? His childhood was thus secure. See, why he called his childhood is secure is, we see many of the children, they are roaming in the streets, begging on the platforms, begging in the bus stops. And that life, is it secure? If you question, our APJ Kalam wanted to say no, their life is not secured. That is a family life, that is a secured life. A father should be there, then the child will be thinking, yes, I am secured. A mother should be there, then the child would be thinking, yes, I am secured, I am leading a secured life. So here he has a very simple father and very tall and very understanding parents he had, and so he called them as what we call as a simple father he called, and his father used to spend all the things wherever there is a necessity. That way, very sweetly he talked about his entire family, the house, and when it is built, how it is built, and where it is built. The Second World War broke out in 1939 when I was 8 years old. For reasons I have never been able to understand, a sudden demand for tamarind seeds erupted in the market. I used to collect the seeds and sell them to a provision shop on Mosque Street. A day's collection would fetch me the princely sum of 1 anna. My brother-in-law, Jalaluddin, would tell me stories about the war, which I would later attempt to trace in the headlines in Dinamani. Our area, being isolated, was completely unaffected by the war, but soon India was forced to join the Allied forces and something like a state of emergency was declared. The first casualty came in the form of the suspension of the train halt at Rameswaram station. Rameswaram Road between Rameswaram station, the newspapers now had to be bundled and thrown out from the moving train on the Rameswaram Road between Rameswaram and Dhanushkoti. That forced my cousin Samsuddin, who distributed newspapers in Rameswaram, to look for a helping hand to catch the bundles, and as if naturally, I filled the lot. Samsuddin helped me earn my first wages. Half a century later, I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. You see, here the war period was described, and much of war has not been told here because he was not having the full picture of the war. And his cousin used to speak about the war, and so he was able to understand the war. But he understood only one thing. What is that one? He could earn. What is that one? Such princely earning 1 anna per day. How? Collecting the tamarind seeds and selling into the next door, that is your grocer. Right? See, means how important was the earning in those days? 1 anna, 1/16th part of your rupee in those days. So that was a great amount. Now if you are taking 1 rupee out and if you are putting that 1 rupee coin into the beggar's hand, he will see to it this side and that side, and Babuji, you take it. That way he will be calling you back and giving it to you. Why? Because that 1 rupee is not fetching anything. And 5 rupee coin, that is also going into some hiding somewhere now. 5 rupee coin, because that is also not fetching anything now. And if you give 10 rupee note, you will be commuted between your Erragada to this place, Yusuf Gouda, 10 rupee. Minimum, if you touch the taxi, if you touch the auto, minimum you have to pay that. See, where is the value for 10 paise and anna over there? Now it is not there. But in those days, 1 anna, he put it as a princely sum of 1 anna. Very great amount. Right? That way he felt it when he started his first earning. Why? He was not knowing why the rates of this seed, tamarind seed, has surged up. what usage they were putting it, he was not knowing, but he used to collect those seeds and used to sell in the next door grocer and used to get 1 anna per day. Then next what happened? As a first effect of the war, they did not see the war over there, effects of the war over there, but only one thing they had seen. What is that one? Earlier, the train used to stop at Rameshwaram. Now, because of the war, there this emergency was declared, and due to that emergency, this train would not stop in Rameshwaram. Right? And daily his cousin used to get the supply of newspaper there. And that newspaper collection, when the train stopped, they used to do it. Now train is not stopping. Then the person who is supposed to give them the paper used to throw them bundled. And this fellow used to collect, his cousin has to collect. Then collection and rebundling it again and distribute into different places, he needed one more hand. Now our ex-president APJ Kalam, he fitted himself in that slot. He said, yes, I will help you. And thus his first earning in his childhood started. And he is very proudly putting it that I was a paper boy. And your Narendra Modi yesterday has took charges as the PM. He has taken oath. Right? He very proudly said, I am a chaiwala. You see, our past thing we should not forget. We should be proud of it. Right? So that is what we are learning out of this, his childhood. We should not forget our childhood, and whatsoever we did in the childhood, we should be proud of that. So I can still feel the surge of pride in earning my own money for the first time. A surge, a tumult we will be having in our body. What is it from? My first earning. Maybe it is 1 anna, but it is my earning. Right? So every child is born with some inherited characteristics into a specific socio-economic and emotional environment, and trained in certain ways by figures of authority. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father. From my mother, I inherited faith in goodness and deep kindness, and so did my 3 brothers and sisters. I had 3 close friends in my childhood: Ramanatha Sastri, Aravindan, and Shiva Prakashan. All these boys were from Orthodox Hindu Brahmin families. As children, none of us ever felt any difference amongst ourselves because of our religious differences and upbringing. In fact, Ramanatha Sastri was the son of Pakshi Lakshmana Sastri, the high priest of the Rameswaram temple. Later, he took over the priesthood of the Rameswaram temple from his father. Aravindan went into the business of arranging transport for visiting pilgrims, and Shiva Prakashan became a catering contractor for the Southern Railways. Now, some of the friends, his own brothers, his own sister, his father and mother, what did they inherit? What does he inherit from his father, his mother, his friends? You can see here in this paragraph how beautifully he put the paragraphs one after other. That also we have to see. You see, whenever we are writing an essay, autobiography or letter, the paragraph splitting is very important. If you are touching a new topic, the paragraph should spell the topic clearly, and thus you are increasing the beauty of your letter writing, your essay writing. We will discuss it later once again when we come to letter writing. So now every child is born with some inherited characteristics. Of course, my characteristics are not equal to those that of your mathematics characteristics. He must have his own characteristics. And two men, two women, two children, two boys, two girls will not be having the characters alike. But they become friends. Why? Because they can adjust their characteristic with the other's characteristic. And so we are becoming friends. But it is not that we both have the same characteristic. No, cannot be. So likewise, we all children born into separate varied characteristics and into specific socio-economic and emotional environment. Now you see, the very rich people, they have very little time to look after to each other because they have their own business to attend. They are to attend. In that, what happens is they may have very less time to attend to the society, attend to the family. Right? So everybody has his own economic, socio, and all these things. They have their own participation in that emotions. Right? So if a poor man should have a very rich emotion, it doesn't match over there. He may be having very rich emotions, no doubt, but how far he can fulfill? If he cannot fulfill, it is, if at all he wants to fulfill, it is certain that he would be turning into some other unlawful activities. So, a social and economic scenario is a must for the emotional environment. Very beautifully he said here, and training to certain ways by figures and authority. You see, if he doesn't have the same emotions which are required for his family, he would be trained to figure out, to bring about the same figures and same status as his family needs, his society needs. Right? That is the fact. We have to see to it. I inherited honesty and self-discipline from my father. He has inherited. He got it as a gift from his father. What is that one? Honesty. Honesty is the best policy, we say. But how many of us have this honesty? Right? So, honesty I have taken, discipline I have taken from my father. And from my mother, I inherited faith in goodness. You see, we have to, outright we cannot cancel, hey, he's a bad boy, hey, let us not talk to him. No. He must be having a good side of it also. Let us try to bring about from him. And you take that goodness only from the boy concerned. That we don't have that much of what we call as a patience in our life. Simply we see on one side and we conclude it and we discard it or we take it. Right? But my mother is not like that. She knew it pretty well how to take the goodness from somebody, how to adapt it, how to get it. And I have acquired that from my mother. And deep kindness, pity, kindness, that also from my mother I inherited. And I was having 3 friends. You see, I am a Musliman, but I have my friends in what? In Orthodox, South Indian, Brahmin families. Now you can understand. But this, my friendship lasted long. How could I say now? Because here he is talking about the childhood and the later on stage even. One had taken his father's post. That means the chief priest in the Rameshwaram temple, one boy. The other boy, he was conducting tours to all the religious places. And third, he had taken up catering services. Means what? All along, our ex-president Abdul Kalam, he was having friendship with his childhood friends. During the annual Sri Sitarama Kalyanam ceremony, our family used to arrange boats with a special platform for carrying idols of a Lord from the temple to the marriage site. Situated in the middle of the pond called Ramatirtham, which was near our house. Events from the Ramayana and from the life of the prophet were the bedtime stories my mother and grandmother would tell the children in our family. You see, one more custom, one more culture. Very sweet one. We miss it now. Why? Ours is a nuclear family, not a combined family. There the children lose a privilege. What is that one? Hear stories from the grandparents. Right? Here, that is what he introduced. It is a very sweet memory to remember the grandmother and grandfather telling stories. I am from Muslim community, but still we used to serve in Sitarama Kalyanam. How? We used to have boats, and 3 to 4 boats are combined together, and over that we used to have a platform, and on that platform the idol of Rama, Lord Rama, used to be placed, and it is to be carried from here to the marriage site. And that marriage site is nearer to these people's residence. That means nearer to the masjid place. You see how attached these two religions are in the mind of APJ Abdul Kalam. Right? So, here he not only told this, he also remembered one more sweet thing. What it was? He was hearing the stories from his mother and his grandmother about what? About Prophet Muhammad and about Rama, Lord Rama and Krishna. Equally he treated, that means his family treated both the books equally. If it is a Quran, they treated Quran along with Ramayana, and they treated Ramayana along with their Quran. See how close these two religions went in the life of our APJ Kalam. One day, when I was in the 5th standard at the Rameshwaram Elementary School, a new teacher came to our class. I used to wear a cap which marked me as a Muslim, and I always sat in the front row next to Ramanatha Shastri, who wore the sacred thread, Danjam. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. Could not stomach. Remember this, we'll discuss later. The new teacher could not stomach a Hindu priest's son sitting with a Muslim boy. In accordance with our social ranking, as the new teacher saw it, I was asked to go and sit on the back bench. I felt very sad, and so did Ramanatha Shastri. He looked utterly downcast as I shifted to my seat in the last row. The image of him weeping when I shifted to the last row left a lasting impression on me. The children do not have any kind of what we call as differences within them. They feel everybody is equal. He was wearing a cap to denote, to show, to demonstrate that he belongs to the Muslim religion. And next to him, Ramanatha Shastri was sitting, right? His friend. He was having cross thread and bare upper portion. Maybe a tonsured head with a long tail backside. So a new teacher, when he had come, he was not knowing the friendship between these boys. He saw this thing, something peculiar. He could not digest it. He could not take it. He could not accept it. The word used for that is he could not stomach it. stomach. We take something in, it gets digested. It accepts. That means wherever we are to say accept, there we can use stomach. Right? So he could not stomach it means he could not accept this. What is that? A Brahmin boy sitting next to a Muslim boy, or a Muslim boy sitting next to Brahmin boy. That is, the differences have come where? In the adults. All these differences, all these disputes, they arise only with the adults, not with the boys. Why? The childhood is such sweet. They want to play, they want to part with, they want to share with whosoever it is. They don't bother whether he is my, that means belongs to my caste or not. They don't bother. Right? It is the elderly people, they bring about these kind of differences. That is what he wanted to put in this paragraph. The new teacher, he could not digest, he could not accept seeing Ramanatha Shastri and APJ Kalam sitting side by side. And so what did he do? According to the class and the religion which was supposed to be practiced over there, he was put into the last bench, which APJ Kalam accepted it. But Ramanatha Shastri could not accept. He sat there the day long weeping. And that still our ex-president remembers. And he very rightly, he brought a space in his autobiography. He put it. After school, we went home and told our respective parents about the incident. Lakshmana Shastri summoned the teacher and in our presence told the teacher that he should not spread the poison of social inequality and communal intolerance in the minds of the innocent children. He bluntly asked the teacher to either apologize or quit the school and the island. Not only did the teacher regret his behavior, but the strong sense of conviction Lakshmana Shastri conveyed ultimately reformed this young teacher. Those were the days. Now, if such a kind of thing occurs in our school, what would happen? There will be communal rights over there, rights. That is, these people will be throwing stones and even lathis and even swords to the other community. The other community or the teacher himself would be chased. Right? That did not occur over here. These two boys, when they go home, they narrated this thing to their elder people, their parents. Their parents laughed at the ignorance of the teacher. But they did not leave it at there. Then they called the teacher concerned here. You say, you are a newcomer here. In this island, this vicinity, in this area, this kind of feeling is not there. And because you have come, we don't want you to spread this here. We are all equal human beings here. None is higher and none is lower here. Everybody is equal. So if at all you are having the same thing, even after this incident, please leave our island. You go away from here. We can call the other teacher here. But if at all you want to be here, you publicly apologize to that family. Number one. Number two, here and after you are not talking about this communality here. You are Hindu, you are Muslim. No, you are not talking this nonsense. We are all one here. That way it has been taught very clear, not by the Muslim end, but from the Hindu end. That to Hindu Brahman end, that to Hindu Orthodox Brahman end, it has been very clearly spelled. Now the teacher understood and he changed his ways about looking at the society. On the whole, the small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of the segregation. Very rigid, unchangeable. Segregation, changeable. Means from the point of changeability, it is unchangeable. You see how controversial words have been used to bring about a very high meaning. Right? It is not changeable when it comes to the changeability. It is rigid when it comes to segregation of differences, different socio groups. However, my science teacher Shiva Subramaniam Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. Rebel means what? To go against. One who goes against. Against what? Against the things which are supposed to happen. Right? That is, if the shirt has to be worn like this, if I wear it backside front, then I am a rebel. Very simple thing. And if this tie has to be tied here, and if I tie this to my waist, I am a rebel. That means the thing which is supposed to happen, I am not doing in that manner, and I am doing in some other different manner. He is a rebel. Right? Means rebel means not to make put up some war or to induct some kind of what we call as a trouble or struggle to some society. No, not that rebel. Rebel means he needs a change. He readily goes for a change, is a rebel. So now, on the whole, a small society of Rameshwaram was very rigid in terms of segregation of different social groups. However, my science teacher Shiva Subramaniam Iyer, though an orthodox Brahmin with a very conservative wife, was something of a rebel. My science teacher is something, though he is orthodox Brahmin, he wanted something, a change in the society, and accordingly he had a wife. Very conservative, that means very amicable, very understanding, and very what we call can take anything into her fold, conservative. He did his best to break social barriers so that people from varying backgrounds could mingle easily. He did his best to break these social barriers. Now, last time I read something about Rabindranath Tagore's freedom, meaning of freedom. He wanted his country should wake up into that heaven where there are no domestic wars. I read it. And now here Shiva Subramaniam, he is the science teacher, and what did he do is he wanted to eradicate these barriers, communal barriers. Right? So what did he do for it? He used hours with me and would say, Kalam, I want you to develop so that you are on par with the highly educated people of these big cities. He is a poor middle class boy. And also very proudly he said he used to earn when he was a child. Doing what? Paper distribution. He called himself a paper boy. Now his chemistry teacher wanted to see Kalam something different. Educated, the highly educated person he wanted from Abdul Kalam. Right? And so he said, you are on par, at par with everybody, highly educated people. Means at par or on par is called equal or in the equal platform as the highly educated people would be. One day he invited me to his home for a meal. You see, a barrier, a custom has been, a tradition has been simply broken. What is it one? A Muslim boy taking food in a Brahmin house. The Brahmin used to be left out from the caste, outcasted. The other Brahmins used to outcast him. What nonsense you are talking, what nonsense you are doing. It's okay, you are living with him, you are teaching him, it's okay. But you are calling him to your house. No, 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 we are not going to come to your house. That way the other Brahmin used to outcast a fellow. But he never bothered for it. So one day he invited me to his home for a meal. His wife was horrified at the idea of a Muslim boy being invited to dine in her ritually pure kitchen. Ritually pure kitchen. What is this? Ritually pure and hygienically pure. Do we have two purities? Yes, we have. Ritually pure means every morning, early morning, the housewife used to get up, right? And completing her daily chore, she used to go to the front part of the house. There she used to put this water sprinkled over there. That water mixed with this cow dung, kallapi jaladam. And that when it is completed, it used to be decorated with the rangoli, the muggulu వేసి ఉంచేవారు. ఆ ముగ్గు పిండి it is a separate one. ముగ్గు పిండి is not that sunnam, limestone powder, no. Then biya pindi they used to, that means the rice powder. Why? That is again for the what we call as the ants and the birds, they should eat. And so muggu pindi used to be separate in the household. బియ్య పిండితో ముగ్గులు పెట్టేవారు, రైట్? అది జీవకోటికి హెల్ప్ చేయడం అని మొట్టమొదట ఇంటి మొదట్లోనే కష్టం. అండ్ నెక్స్ట్ షీ యూజ్ టు టేక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ ది క్లీన్లీనెస్ అండ్ హైజీన్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎంటైర్ హౌస్. నెక్స్ట్ ది కిచెన్. Into the kitchen never she entered without taking a bath. Personal hygiene first, next the kitchen hygiene. The kitchen hygiene how? Every day the stove has to be cleaned with the clean mud mixed with the cow dung again. Every day it has to be decorated with the muggulu again, right? Then the stove would be fired. That is here ritual kitchen. The kitchen part of the house was regarded as a abode of God. What is that abode of God? Abode of fire God. And so people used to live a very rich life in those days, energetic life. That is, even 90 years old, the man, he could able to run and catch the train. Why such energetic? Because the kitchen itself was left for the energy, God energy, the sun or the fire. That way they used to keep it over there. And in your kitchen you never see the sun entering into, because apartment culture. And the stove, I am not going to criticize the women folk now, because it is a what we call as it is their what we say is inability, I can say, because they are to do that, they are to go for that one, because 8 o'clock the child should go to the school, and for that she has to get up by 5 o'clock, right? So whether she changes her clothes or whether she takes a bath or not, she has to lit the stove. Times have changed now. And so now this we cannot call as a ritual kitchen now. Ritual is that, right? So she could not take it, right? Why? A Muslim boy dining in her ritual kitchen. పవిత్రమైన వంటింట్లో ముస్లిం బాయ్ వచ్చి భోజనం చేయడమా? That way she could not accept the thing which is going on. See, Shiva Subramanyam Iyer was not perturbed. Not perturbed means not at all disturbed by it, not at all changed his idea. Though his wife was going against his decision, he never bothered for it, not perturbed. Perturbed means not disturbed, not changed his idea. Nor did he get angry with his wife. right? Sometimes if my partner doesn't accept what I wanted to say, I'll be a bit disturbed and I cannot keep quiet. I will be shouting at her. Why? She did not agree what I say. Now here you see the understanding between the chemistry teacher and his wife. His wife could not make out how to and how not to. She was in doldrums. But our chemistry teacher, he was determined. Yes, this boy would dine here today, not disturbed. Then what did he do? And nor even he showed his angry on his wife. No, he has not shown his angry to her also. Then what did he do? But instead served me with his own hands and sat down beside me to eat his meal. Okay, you are not serving, no? I would serve him. That way, he put the plate, he brought the glass of water, and he put all the items, edible items, in my plate, and he sat beside me. He started eating. Now, his wife watched us from behind the kitchen door. I wondered whether she had observed any difference in the way I ate rice, drank water, or cleaned the floor after the meal. When I was leaving his house, Shivasubramaniam Iyer invited me to join him for dinner again the next weekend. Observing my hesitation, he told not to get upset, saying, once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be confronted. When I visited his house the next week, Shivasubramaniam Iyer's wife took me inside her kitchen and served me food with her own hands. Now, change, if at all it has to come, you are to initiate it. Once again, change, if at all you need it, you are to initiate the change, not that you are an observer. You are the doer over there. If at all you are to bring economical conditions in a certain manner, means you should live economically. You should stand as an example over that. So his wife was a bit adamant when first Abdul Kalam had been to their house. But next time, he said, you see, you are coming to my house next weekend to take meal with me. He was a bit hesitant. Then what did he say? If at all there has to be a change, once you decide to change the system, such problems have to be there. Problems will be there. We have to overcome. We should not see the problem as a problem and we should take it to the same stand. No. You wanted a change. You put your leg forward. You face the problem. Then you can solve it. That way he said, next time you are coming to my house. When our boy had been to their house next time, there was a change. What was it? Shivasubramaniam, the chemistry teacher's wife, called him in. She took him by the hand into her ritual kitchen. She made him sit and she herself served him food. Change would come, but you are to initiate it. Then the Second World War was over and India's freedom was imminent. Indians will build their own India, declared Gandhiji. The whole country was filled with an unprecedented optimism. I asked my father for permission to leave Rameshwaram and study at the district headquarters of Ramanathapuram. Now, the Second World War over. And it is imminent. That is a must, inevitable. It is to happen. What is done? India will get its independence. Then, here we are having two states, Telangana and Andhra. The chief minister there, he says, we will build our Andhra as a Swarnandhra. And here, this chief minister also calling for the same. That is a well-developed Telangana we will have here. Right? It is the best gesture, no doubt. Likewise, your Mahatma Gandhi also once, he said, we Indians will build our own India. That way he gestured over there. So, here our boy, Abdul Kalam, what he said to his father is, now the education here it is finished, so we want to shift to Ramanathapuram, the district headquarters. Let us go there so that I can have good education. He told me, as if thinking aloud, Abul, I know you have to go away to grow. Does the seagull not fly across the sun, alone and without a nest? He quoted Khalil Gibran to my hesitant mother. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You see how educated his father was. No ordinary father can think like that. No literate father I can put over here. No literate father can put this kind of words. He had quoted certain lines from the Khalil Gibran. What is that one? This son, this daughter, of course we have given birth to them, that much only our duty. Then they have their own thoughts. We cannot imbibe or we cannot force our thoughts onto them. No, they are independent to think. They are independent to go anywhere they like. They are independent to learn anything whatever they need. See how thoughtful the father is. And again he said to him, as if he is putting his thoughts aloud. You see, my son, the seagull, you are seeing it, right? That is going across the sky, across the sun. Does it need anybody's help over there? Does it ask anybody's help? Or does it need a nest to rest? No, nothing is that sort. Right? That means he said, I don't have any kind of objection. If you want to go to Ramanathapuram, you go. But don't insist us that we are to shift to that place. We will be here. You go there. You study well. But mother was a bit hesitant. Arey, how can we leave the child like that? He is going to a faraway place. Then he said immediately, no. Let us not put our thoughts into their brain. Because our children, we have given birth to them, but we did not give our thoughts to them. It is through us they have taken birth, not from us. That way he differentiated between through and from. We are only the father and mother to these people. That's all. Right? And we are not the everything for them. We cannot imbibe what we think into their minds. Their thought process is different. Let us leave them to their thought process. You see what kind of sweet memoirs our ex-president APJ Kalam given to us. That is, at this juncture, you are in class 10th. Tomorrow you are an individual. You have to go somewhere. Then you should have attachments to your parents, no doubt. But that attachment should not overcome your requirement. What is your requirement? To study well, to go up, to go high into the education field. You should become something. And there, your attachment, your affection towards your family should not become a what we call as a lock. They should not lock you. That, right? They should not chain you to your family, to your house. They should not. Because you are you. You can think about yourself. Now itself you have to think about yourself, what you are going to do. Right? And so these memoirs, this is written by the author. Now about the author. Dr. Awul Pakir Jalaluddin Abdul Kalam was born on 15th October 1931 at Rameshwaram in Tamil Nadu. He was responsible for the evaluation, evaluation is different and evolution is different, evolution of ISRO's launch vehicle program, particularly the PSLV, configuration and for the development and operationalization of Agni and Prithvi missiles, and for building indigenous capability in critical technologies through networking of multiple institutions. In his literary pursuit, 4 of Dr. Kalam's books, Wings of Fire, India 2020, A Vision for the New Millennium, My Journey, and Ignited Minds, Unleashing the Power Within India, have become household names in India and among the Indian national abroad. Dr. Kalam received honorary doctorates from 30 universities and institutions. He was awarded the coveted civilian awards Padma Bhushan 1981 and Padma Vibhushan 1990 and the highest civilian award Bharat Ratna in 1997. Dr. Kalam became the 11th President of India on 25th July 2002. That is all about the author. If such is the personality, how his wording would be? His wording, each and every word is placed, we can say, engraved in the book. Engraving, we do it on the only metal and on the rock. But I put it here, he engraved each and every word in this lesson. Why I put engraved is, his each and every word is a lesson for us. Communality was not there earlier, before 1930. Why we should have that? That's the question he put. And he himself put as a character over there that he died in a Orthodox Hindu parivar. And during this partition, that is what we call as Hindustan and Pakistan, many Hindustani people have taken shelter with the Pakistani people, that is Muslim households. Many Muslim people have been sheltered by the Hindu people. That is the friendship. Right? Now, for each and everything, we have the split, we have the walls, we built it with a strong cement. Rabindranath Tagore wanted these walls to be collapsed, but instead what we are doing is we are building them with strong, unbreakable cement. So here, after reading this, we can understand how the people used to live amicably in a temple town of Rameshwaram, both Muslims and Hindus. Right? And so it is worth reading, and about the other things we will see in our next class.